Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 262 of How About That Cigar Live. Guys, thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on
Rumble.
We so appreciate you guys being with us on this beautiful Monday evening. And for our audio podcast listeners, guys, thank you so much for being the best part of How About That Cigar Live and listening on your favorite audio podcast platforms here in the absolutely beautiful Corona Cigar Studios. It is warm.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, though. It is really great. You know, it's been, I don't know, we had like false fall, like where it got really cool for what, a week?
Yep.
And then now all of a sudden it's back. It's summer again.
But it is dropping a little colder at night. It's getting down to the 60s.
Yeah, it's nice. You can shut off the AC, open the windows at night.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I don't hate that.
No.
Justin's off again tonight.
Yep.
So it's just Raul and I here kicking things down in the studio. So there was a football game yesterday.
Hold on. Let's start with something a little sadder.
You want to start with the sad? Okay.
Let's start with Pete Rose passed away today.
Yeah, rest in peace, Pete Rose.
And so did Mutombo.
Dikembe Mutombo also. Yeah.
Rest in peace, brothers.
Yeah, Pete Rose probably. I don't know. I mean, Dikembe Mutombo was extremely good, very, very talented basketball player. But Pete Rose was
Charlie Hustle.
He's iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, in the history of baseball, he's one of the best that there ever has been.
So, do you think they'll let him in the Hall of Fame now?
I don't know. I hope they do, but I honestly can't say for sure. I will say this, and I know it's sad to even say this, considering he literally just passed away. But you know, it's just a fact. You know, when it comes to sports betting, Vegas bets on everything.
Yeah,
and you know as well as I do that for the last probably 30 years, there have been people placing bets on whether or not Pete Rose would make it into the Hall of Fame before he died. And I'm sorry, you know, to those people, but you lost you lost your bet. But yeah, one of the best to ever do it.
Yes, sir.
So rest in peace to Pete Rose and Dikembe Mutombo.
Mutombo,
sorry, go ahead.
Was a wonderful person. He did a lot of things around the world.
Yeah.
Ambassador, first basketball ambassador, something like that. I forgot what it was exactly.
A lot of humanitarian causes as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
before we get into football, the Minnesota Wild hockey preseason is already underway. Wild are 2-2 in preseason. They look pretty decent. This new goaltender of theirs, I like him. I don't remember his name right now, but I've liked what I've seen from him so far. Minnesota Twins completely crashed and burned. One of the biggest downfalls in a season. Twins were firmly in first place by a few games. And then all of a sudden they just completely fell apart. And so many baseball analysts I know, people that aren't even like official Twins analysts, but just baseball analysts, say it's one of the worst meltdowns in a season in the last 30 years.
That's crazy.
So unfortunately, no postseason baseball for the Twins, but you know.
You think they'll do any changes?
It's possible. I mean, I know there's going to be definitely player changes. There's guys that are going to have contracts up, and we're going to lose guys, and we're going to gain guys, just like we always do.
I'm thinking about coaching.
As far as Rocco Baldelli, I don't think his head's on the chopping block this year. I think if they have another year like this, then he may be done. But time will tell. We'll see.
On the other hand,
my Yankees are the number 1 seed in the playoffs.
That's right.
But my Jets lost to a baseball game. They played who the hell did they play?
The Jets played
somebody terrible.
Who did
The Broncos.
Broncos. The Jets played the
and
Broncos.
they lost the baseball score 10-9. How terrible is that?
Yeah.
How is it? How does that happen?
Jack says defund the poll ads.
Yeah.
Well, money's got to come from somewhere, I guess. Yeah, Bo Nix and the Broncos. The Jets lost to Bo Nix and the Broncos. And you could just tell from the sideline demeanor and the post-game press conferences that Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh do not like each other. They do not like each other at all. Not that you have to be a head coach and a starting quarterback, but you can tell they're button heads.
That dude doesn't like anybody. He has a problem with authority.
Yeah,
I know the type.
There's so well, and then the other end of the spectrum, there was a big border battle yesterday.
Yeah, it was a really fun first half.
Yeah.
And the second half wasn't that so fun for Vikings fans.
Yeah, I'm not a Vikings fan. So.
I know you were really loud that second half, almost obnoxious.
Yeah, it was. I get loud when I watch football.
And Matt.
I get loud, and we appreciate Matt Brugger for hosting. Yeah. Really cool place he's got over there.
Sure does.
And tons of fans from both sides that were there watching that game.
Yeah, a lot of husbands and wives with different jerseys.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. We had a great time, and although I'm sad that the Packers didn't win, I am happy that they at least made a game out of it. There was it was a complete blowout, and then the Packers ended up losing by 2.
Yeah. It was
at least they made a game out of it, and it was fun to watch.
A lot of turnovers on both sides.
Turnovers galore, penalties galore. But the Vikings did pretty well on penalties. The Packers just kept doing stupid things. Even the coach, got his dumb ass out there on the field, and it's like, dude, you're smarter than that. Don't be running around out there, screaming and cussing at the officials. And sure enough, he got a penalty for it. It was a big mistake on his part. Yeah, just dumb mistakes around. But it was an entertaining game to watch.
Luckily, we might play each other again this year, or the Vikings.
Definitely. It's the December 29th. I think it's December 29th. Pretty sure is when the game is. Yeah, the next Vikings Packers. And the Packers play next. The Packers play the LA Rams.
Yeah.
Not exactly and it's in LA. And it's not exactly a throwaway game. And I think Jordan Love came back too early. He didn't look like himself. He looked
especially that first half. He looked rusty.
He looked rusty, and he also just didn't have that fleet of foot movement. And
the Vikings play the Jets in London, 8:30 game on Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's it's going to be interesting.
It's breakfast in bed watching the Vikes.
Think anybody's going to be jet lagged?
I think the Jets are going to have to want to prove a point, which makes me nervous for the Vikings.
The Jets may need to prove
irrelevant
to prove a point. And like you said before we went on the air, Aaron Rodgers knows how to play against the Vikings. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of experience doing it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I think Rodgers is going to be a player coach by the end of the season.
It could be. That would be interesting.
So what are you drinking tonight?
So yeah, let's jump into this week's Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by Postania Cigars. Do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars from Postania didn't make the HBTC list but found their way onto other lists? Well, fortunately, you can be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry.
And tonight I am wearing our sponsor's hat, and I am smoking one of our sponsors' cigars.
Very nice. The unnamed
cigar.
So this is a very, very dark bourbon that I have here. It smells like bourbon.
Yeah,
it's a little funky, but not like overly funky.
It is a single barrel 14-year-old bourbon.
Okay, interesting. So this one's got some of those kind of cinnamon sort of notes. Not like it's cinnamon whiskey. That's not what I mean. But there's some kinds of whiskey that have like almost like a cinnamon sort of hint to them, even though it's not actually like cinnamon flavor that's put in there. So that's pretty good. It's not. It is. There's still. It's funky on the finish. It's kind of like, like forest floor kind of funky, but not like gross.
I think it's an 108 proof.
It's a little hot, but not super hot. But yeah, we'll later on in the show we will reveal this week's beer to mystery. Maybe
I got a problem with authority.
You got a problem with authority. I know that. I know. All right, so let's jump into our main event of the evening, and as always, special guests on How About That Cigar are brought to us by our friends at Drew Estate. And for the first time ever, Drew Estate has given a sneak peek of the brand behind a freestyle live event pack, and that is Cigars. But consumers get to guess which of the Deadwood girls is making her debut. Each FSL pack is priced at $40 and includes 3 mystery premium cigars, a freestyle live torch lighter, cigar cutter, and ashtray. And of course, each pack comes with a QR code for entry into a sweepstakes featuring a grand prize of a Harley-Davidson Fat Boy 11. Second prize is a $4,500 custom humidor, and 10 lucky winners will snag a custom ashtray from Subculture Studios. For more information, please visit drewestate.com.
After hearing how many things Matt won, he might win that.
Yeah, honestly, Matt has a lucky streak. He's got so much cool stuff in his cigar lounge that he has won. So maybe some of that luck will rub off on us. We were there. Maybe some of that rub off on us.
Well, rubbed off on the Vikings a little bit.
It most definitely did. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please. Oh, I got to take that thing off. I thought I took it off the screen. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together and welcome to episode 262 from Cigars for Warriors, Storm Boen. Welcome to the show, brother.
How y'all doing, guys?
What's up, brother?
Looking forward to this.
It's great to have you on the show, my friend. How have you been?
Not bad at all. We just got back from the border, hosting a couple of nice little events for the troops down there. We have 27 states National Guard that are down there at the Texas border, helping the guys out.
Okay.
They've had a lot of injuries. The morale's not always as great. So it was a true honor to go down there and be able to pass out a bunch of cigars. And McAuliffe had dropped off 64,000 cigars for us, and we used a lot of those to go down there. Drew Estate donated a bunch of really, really, they always have the coolest freaking swag out there. So we were able to go there and have some fun, cornhole, and had the USSO come out there and cook barbecue for them. It was just a really good time.
Nice.
And I always enjoy meeting our recipients, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's
how's their morale doing down there?
That day was doing really good. According to the new commander, one of his goals was to build the morale back up to where it should be. So reading between the lines, I would say it wasn't doing as great. They're working insane amount of hours, no days off. When you're doing 16, 18 hours a day, that stuff can really wear on you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you smoking tonight with us on the show, Storm?
Well, I'm smoking the cigar that Oscar Valadares made for us called CFW by Oscar. It's Corojo wrapper, phenomenal stick. They did a really cool deal on how they built the box. So it looks like a 50 caliber specialty box. So I've always been I thought that was pretty dang cool of them. So we have I think we're at 4 now Synergy cigars. And when you call a cigar Synergy for CFW, that basically means that company's making one of their top end cigars. You can only get them at a CFW donation center like Corona.
Yeah.
And they turn around and the manufacturers donates 100% of those profits back to the charity. So it's something I would have never thought anybody would ever agree with, much less have a line for it. So Some are very proud of that.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Oscar's a good dude.
I love it. And Raul, remind me, what are you smoking?
I am smoking Postañas. No name. Can't know if you can see it.
Oh, here, let me
It's got
full
the
screen.
Punisher on there.
Allegedly. I
reached out to those guys and was like, hey, I need some stuff. And he sent me this cool hat and my cigars I wanted.
Nice.
What are you smoking?
Well, you know what I'm smoking. You were kind enough to reach into your humidor and pull out one of these. This is the Shepherd.
Yep.
Also from the fine folks at Postaña, Poshik Cigars, Mike Palmer, Mike Shepherd-Cabbage, and
Maddie Booth.
Yeah. And it's got the Ezekiel 25:17 on there, like Sam Jackson's speech from Pulp Fiction. And I think I'm going to light up this cigar right now
with our toast cam
on the Cigar toast cam. Cigar is the leading cigar accessory brand with innovative butane lighters, precision cigar cutting instruments, travel cases, and humidors. Each product is designed and manufactured with the utmost precision and attention to detail. The result is a range of products that exude quality and refinement, reflecting the brand's dedication to excellence. For more information, please visit Cigar.com. All right. Let's jump in, shall we?
Storm, tell us about the company, when you started it, how many people you got working for you, and then we'll get into the first time you had a stick.
Okay. Operate Cigars Wars, our formal name. We started technically in 2011, but became formalized and with our 501c3 back in 2012. We started out, 7 of us, co-founders. Thinking that it's going to be an hour or two a month kind of hobby deal, is a way to say a simple, very simple thank you to our deployed men and women. And that's a key word, deployed. We don't send to the troops that are like in England or France. We're sending them to combat zones first, always, and then second priority is long-term deployments and floats in bad areas. So we do consider many places of the border as part of our mission. Texas border, we'll be getting into the Arizona border soon. We're very blessed to having active duty personnel that work for us, that we are able to vet every single request. That's another important word is request. We don't just randomly send our care packages to the troops. They have to be requested. And then we vet them to make sure they're actually U.S. service members that are on active orders. If they're contractors, we don't give them to them. If they're from a foreign ally, whether it's UN or NATO, etc., we don't send to those guys either. Now, with that said, a lot of the guys are embedded with our troops, and if I was deployed, and I wanted to hand off to one of our contractors that have been working with us, they're my cigars to do with as I please. But we only send it to our U.S. service members. It's very important for us to make sure that donors know where their donations are going. As of right now, we are just shy of 1.7 million cigars being shipped to the troops overseas. Thousands of pounds of coffee, magazines, cigar accessories, tons of Zycar accessories, and then just anything that we get is something nice. Like CI every couple of years would donate $150,000 in $100 gift cards. That way, some of the younger enlisted guys who've always wanted to get that box of Sweet Janes or or Asylum cigars can get it when they couldn't afford it before. So it's one of our goals is make sure that the men and women have that moment of normalcy in an environment that's not very normal. And you can imagine that the top two things to normalize an environment like that is alcohol and cigars. So they're not allowed to have alcohol. So cigars are definitely a fan favorite. Again, like we said, we started out as a simple thank you. Never had a million years that the impact it would have. We've been given many awards, calling us the ultimate force multiplier in combat. something we're very proud of, as you can imagine. And, we, like I said, we thought it would be a 1 to 3 hour hobby, and it turned out from week one, it was 60 hours a week for a lot of us, 40 hours, 30 hours. To this day, we have, I think, 12 on the board of directors. And the way the charity is designed, the higher up you go into the hierarchy, the more your job is to support everybody else. It's not a matter of, running around with your head, with a huge ego. It's a matter of our job is support everybody else, which I believe it should be with any charity company. So we have very, very good board of directors who all put in with an absolute minimum of 10 hours a week, and some go 30, 40 hours. This is on top of their normal jobs. This is on top of their family environment. So you can see the kind of dedication. You're asking the numbers. Our numbers any given day of the week, we have active volunteers, 300 to 400. With any volunteer organization, you're really blessed when you get a great volunteer that can last around 6 months. That's the statistics you can find on guystar.org. And we've been blessed. I mean, I may be lying. We're probably around 40 individuals that we've had since 2012 that have been dedicated to us. I would give a higher average of 9 months out of the year. They're going pretty gung-ho. And to be able to save that for a charity that is so non-politically correct like we are, it's a blessing. We always tell everybody, we may be non-politically correct, but we are in the 0.05 percentile of all in 2024, the 2.9 million nonprofits, 501c3s. And we know this because we are in the platinum status of guidestar.org. And we are very big about telling donors, do your due diligence, look us up, always do your due diligence. You're going to donate to a charity. Since we have no salaries, it was pretty easy of us become pretty transparent. So we are a 100% volunteer organization. But to keep their transparency open, I do have 5 individuals that put in a lot of work that I give them a very small stipend a month. It's enough to buy them a steak dinner, maybe. And it's just a small way of saying thank you, where several of them should get full salaries, to be honest. And so, that's to be transparent about how we spend our monies. Once in a while, we have to have someone somewhere and we can't get them. We will pay for their airfare and hotel, and it's always government rates when we do that. Unlike some charities that you've seen in the past that have been singled out, we don't go to Hawaii for team meetings, team build-ups, stuff like that. We have had 4 workshops, and they've always been in pretty small towns. And I've usually get 90% of everything donated, and they work during these workshops. We do focus groups, we do classes, we do motivation things. Hopefully we're going to get back into it. COVID kind of messed a lot of things up, as y'all can imagine. A lot of people ask, what is the logistics? Well, we have any given day of the week, we have around 2,000 donation centers, and majority of them are cigar shops. I say majority because we have barber shops, we have a church, I think we still have a hotel on there somewhere, some interesting places. But majority are cigar shops. And those men and women, once a month, they send all their donations to our charity distribution point, which is down in Florida, Ocala, which is Robert Allen, is our chief of logistics. He's also the manager of Roz Import Cigar Shop. And the owner, Roz, is a really great guy, and he allows us to use his shop address as an address for the distribution point. And then Robert's got quite a few customers. They call themselves the Friday Night Squad, and every Friday night they put packages together. And we're shipping around 450 a month boxes, which is, it doesn't sound like a whole lot to some people, but it is a significant amount of cigars going out every month. We have a second point, which is Peter Totaro, which a lot of people social media know him. He's a real great guy, and him and his family actually do it. And he gets all the cigars from the festivals, the big events that are not hosted by a retailer, and all those cigars go to him. Then we have companies that, like McAllen just recently broke the single donation record, which was held by True Estate at 34,000 cigars. And McAllen just shipped 64,000 cigars to us all at one time.
Wow.
So that was amazing. Of course, Peter and Robert about shot me when they had 7 pallets full of cigars show up. But they were able to get it done. And that's the gist. I mean, what kind of questions y'all have about it?
Well, first of all, I'd like to show you a little something that one of our local shops, actually our home shop, Ramsey Smoke Shop. I was sitting there talking the other day about the show, what's coming up, and 2 of the members there, and then the owner, and then me and Matt threw a couple cigars in there, and we've got about roughly 230, 240 cigars.
Yeah, he's we're gonna try to get all these in the shot here, and of course they're in Boveda bags, because Boveda is awesome.
That's a beautiful sight to see, guys.
So yeah, these are between my humidor, Raul's humidor, some local shops, some local friends. It's right around 230 cigars that we've got here that will be coming in the direction of Cigars for Warriors as soon as I'm able to get them boxed up and safely shipped out.
That's an amazing donation, guys. We greatly appreciate it. For you guys listening, 230, 40 cigars, that is a huge pile of cigars. I don't think people can really, in our normal days of life, a couple hundred doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a massive amount of cigars. The value of those cigars is called an average of $10, probably more than that since it was in y'all's personal humidors.
Mm-hmm.
So just do the numbers on that in your head is just a very, very impressive donation and is greatly appreciated. I love seeing that where guys get together and basically pull themselves to go check their cigars. And we always say that when we do festivals or events, bring your cigars from home that you don't smoke anymore. Our palates change all the time. We have cigars that were great 6 months ago, and now they're not as our favorite. Those are perfect cigars to ship in. We do not ever turn away a premium cigar. Only thing we ask is make sure they're not damaged. We do go through every single one and make sure they're not damaged. And I don't mean a cracked foot. I mean, that's a little silly, but if the cap's falling off and it's unraveling, we're not going to send those to our troops. And as you said, Boveda is the only way we take care of them. They were on board with us before any company was, before we had a name. And they've been with us from day one. At any given day, I call up there and I need, 60 boxes of Boveda packs. They don't blink. They just do it. They don't ask questions. And it's been pretty amazing working with this company. They're just a very dedicated group of men and women. The owners are phenomenal to work with.
Yeah.
So, if you want a good way of taking care of cigars, Boveda is it. And I say that really so people understand when you guys send donations to us, we're going to, yours look pretty mixed up, so they may actually stay in the bags. But we try to mix the cigars up after we check them, and they all go with Boveda bags. And it's very important because we actually have chest, 60-quart coolers that we use to rehabilitate. Some cigars, as you can imagine, had not been taken care of as far as humidity wise. So you have to slowly build that humidity back up, and you want to get that humidity, fairly high, 75%. So when we ship it, it maintains as much humidity as possible in those environments. That also tells the manufacturers, it tells the shops that want to donate on their own, that we take care of their donations. Because again, it's very important to us, and there's no such thing as too small of a donation. We've had a campaign since the first year called $1 one cigar. That makes a difference, and it really does. So, in getting on podcasts like you guys that are so dedicated to the troops, it's another big piece of the pie to help us move quite along. So we appreciate y'all's constant love for the charity. I know we see you guys at the PCA every year, and y'all have always been very good to us, bringing your own donations to us. So that means a lot. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of us and of course on behalf of the troops as well.
It's our honor.
Yeah, absolutely, our honor. One of the things that we're curious about for everybody that we talk to on this show is what started your love for premium handled cigars.
I would say it's two different things. One, when I was in the military, there's a lot of great military traditions around cigars. I'll be honest, there's several times, especially in the early days, we go to a cigar shop for an after dining out or dining in. And, I not knowing what I was doing, I'd go into the humidor and I'd see a, $2 cigar that long or a $12 cigar that long. And I'd, of course, buy the $2 cigar. And then I'd try to smoke it like a cigarette. And then we're all doing the same thing. We're lying to each other how great it is. But what made us keep doing it is because of the camaraderie we're having involved. Once I actually learned how to smoke it right in small, changes, it became a great passion of mine to enjoy a good cigar, slow down. But it didn't really cement for me until I would say one of my first deployment in Iraq was 2003 during the invasion. There was a lot of heavy anticipation of the bad things that were going to happen to us. That we had a lot of suicides happening that year and a half, 2 years. And so I was trying to figure out a way, we were outside the wire every day. So I was trying to find a way that something bad happened, we didn't go in the corners and just dwell on it. So I came up with smoking cigars, and maybe not kosher, but I'd make my guys smoke the cigar because I knew for 2 hours they were going to sit in front of me, and I tell them there's no rank right now, so 2 hours they can say anything I want. Now, usually there's a lot of 4-letter words thrown at me, which probably is a good thing. I think it's some of that stress off of them. And I thought it was an original idea. Kind of find out that not remotely original. It's been going on since World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Panama. This has been going on for forever. Hell, I'd be surprised during the revolution that guys weren't smoking cigars to build the morale. So, it's a big way to also, as you guys know, as most people listening knows, when you're smoking a cigar, you're slowing things down. You're slowing the pace down, especially in this environment where everything's just so fast. Well, when you're on deployments, it's just nonstop work. The op tempo is very high. So it's a great way to normalize a unnormal situation. And we're very proud to have psychiatrists, psychologists, and MDs put their names behind us, with an overall majority saying that the mental health benefits outweighs any of the health risk, which is a big statement if you think that it comes from a medical profession background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've been discussing that a lot lately, mental health and cigars, how they help us, and the cigar community, how we help each other when we need a pick-me-up, when we need a little.
Well, and this whole month of September, Raul had this idea, this whole month of September, and we're grateful to have you closing out this month for us, because we've had all veteran-owned cigar companies on the show during the month of September. And, go ahead.
We had one vet actually on the show that was a Marine sniper.
Yeah. And it's just something that's been on both of our hearts pretty much forever. Neither one of us served in the military, but it's always been. I have family members who served. I know you did too.
Yep, my dad did.
And we it's and it's important to us. I mean, all those of us who didn't serve. I believe. My personal opinion is there's a debt owed by everyone who didn't serve to those who did serve, and those who are currently serving. And that's one of the things that I love so much about CFW, is that it is giving that, maybe 45 minutes to an hour and a half of unplugging from the situation that some deployed servicemen or servicewoman is in, and enjoying a cigar and laughs, maybe a few laughs with friends before they go off on their next patrol or they go off on their next mission, whatever it may be. and it's always been deeply important to us.
I think people forget freedom ain't free. Somebody paid for our freedom.
Yeah.
Amen to that. A lot of people ask me, I want my cigar to go only to someone's going outside the wire every day. What a lot of people don't realize, there's just as great a stress as sitting in a tent and doing paperwork all day long than is go outside the wire. For me, going outside the wire every day was a lot better than staying back and waiting for a mortar round that could possibly drop in on top of your head. So there's a lot of stress. There's different ways that people take stress, but I just want people to realize, just because someone went outside the wire every day or even once, that still doesn't mean that the enemies can't reach out and touch them. Yeah. That still doesn't mean boredom is one of the biggest killers. Not to mention, you don't want a bunch of adrenaline junkies being bored either. We kind of get doing stupid things, but it is just as bad as being high op tempo. It's just as bad as getting shot at every day. And people may want to argue with me about it, but I can tell you I've been in all three situations, and I can tell you I don't want to be bored. I don't want to be sitting back and doing paperwork all day. It has to be done, but the misery of that would be mind-boggling to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I like the people that listening not to think that just because someone's not behind the wire or going out and doing missions, that all the others, 90% or 80%, whatever it is, aren't going through major stressors as well. Not to mention you're leaving home and you're in an environment that just does not make sense.
An environment that's unfriendly, that's in most cases where, maybe not everybody, but there's a large percentage in a lot of these deployed areas of the population who do not want Americans there. And it's got to be, and then you combine that with them being away from their families at a young age for long swaths of time. That's going to be tough on anybody.
And so
go ahead.
80% of the military is mostly support, ain't it?
I could tell that number. It really depends on what mission you're talking about.
Yeah. I think somebody else said that earlier this month too.
But I would say
it's just support.
Yeah.
It takes a massive amount of people, especially when talking about the Army, which is what I was in. I can give you a little bit of answers in other services, but on the whole, I would say there's a mass support, and those guys work crazy hours. Again, so those that think one way, you got to realize that it's 100% of the troops that are deployed that are affected by this one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the individual. It depends how they were raised, and the environment they were raised, and the training they've had, the lack of training they haven't had, etc. All those factors really take place. But at the end of the day, it's all about creating a morale and welfare, as they would say. Something we're blessed again called the ultimate force multiplier. We always use the force multiplier as, bringing in another attachment of a different branch of troops. To say, I'm going to take special forces, I'm going to get force multiplier and bring some Rangers in on this mission. So you're making the mission better by bringing in, muscle, and the morale muscle is cigars. We can't drink alcohol, so the other one's cigars. Now that doesn't mean everybody smokes cigars in the military. It doesn't mean that they don't either. So it's like bikers. You got a lot of guys who smoke cigars because they saw it on TV, and then you got a lot of them that love cigars every day. The neat thing about it is when they're deployed, you get a significant higher number of people smoking cigars, and they come home and they realize how much they enjoyed it. And there's a lot of mental health benefits even home coming back and smoking a cigar. And I always say, call it embracing the suck. Some guys know what I'm talking about. You look back at this horrible time and you realize some of the best memories you got. And you want to, create that connection. And I like to say the cigar is that connection. Kind of like we were saying earlier, is that the cigar is the, equalizer of all races, economic status, socioeconomic status, whatever we're talking about. That doesn't matter who you are, as long as you have a cigar in hand, your brothers and sisters of the leaf. And that society is what has personally kept me hooked to it all these years later.
Yeah.
I get bored real easy, just as anybody else. And, learning about cigars, I'll never be smart enough to know everything about them. So there's an advantage. And then just the environment of people you meet. It's one of the things that keeps me going. And then the second thing that keeps me going is meeting recipients. I had a really big event yesterday, and a young man I've never met before who got 6 different deployments, 6 different times. He got multiple packages from us. So I asked him to speak, and he was real nervous, shy about it. But when he started talking, the passion came out of him. I could not have written a better speech for him to, show what it does for us. In fact, there's a lot of stories again. I just feel if I put them down, it would be disrespectful, even though someone may say, go ahead, I don't have a problem you putting it out in public. And some of them just seem very far-fetched. For some, again, as simple as a cigar. It's created a lot deeper meanings for a lot of different people, a lot of different ways. And I would assume at home for us, it's the same thing. It may not mean as much as Raul smoking a cigar after work as it does Matt, but when Raul goes out with his buddies at night, it creates even different impression on you guys. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, and early on, because I know that just because of some experience that I'm having, I know that starting any charitable organization it's a lot of work. It's a ton of hours. It's a ton of phone calls, emails, and you got to have a lot of support and things like that. So in those earliest days of CFW, who were some of those companies that right away, that first call, they're like, I'm here to help. Would you just let me know what you need and where to send it? Who were some of those first companies that were just all in?
Number one, Boveda. First off, before I didn't even have to sell it to them. It was really, I didn't have to sell it to them. Just tell them what we're doing. They said, just tell me how many and where. You think about it, that's a lot of money. They weren't a massive company they are now. Then you had Drew Estate, Jonathan Drew, who I have always stated that he was one of the original founders. When I called him, he says, I want to see your bylaws. I want to see your article associations. I want to meet the board. And his idea was he and Marvin at the time, his partner, they told their reps, anytime someone asked for cigars given to them, they're military. They're going to send it to their husband while they're deployed or the wives while they're deployed. But he said, I sat down one day when I saw y'all's Cigars for Warriors being, started being promoted. And I started thinking, where am I actually sending these sticks to? Is it all legit? Is it all going to the right people? So I decided to really, he went hard on me, which is what I needed to help motivate me in a lot of ways. And his idea was he wanted to turn everything he did for charity over to and focus on one charity organization. And that was us. So having Drew Estate on board at the very beginning, as you can imagine, is a big, big deal. One of the things that show you how big of a deal that was is first year, 2012, he asked me, what else can we do besides cigars, besides money? And I told him, well, let's put a booth up in your booth during the trade show. We said, that doesn't make any sense. You can't go there and ask for cigars. You can't have your hand out. It's a big deal. I don't see what benefits would be for you guys. But, after a few days of talking it over, he decided to agree on it. And so after the trade show, he asked me, so how do y'all feel? Was it a waste of time? Because we didn't have any cigars in our hands. We didn't have any money in our hands. So, seeing what it could do for us, he didn't understand. But my answer was, we just moved 10 years ahead of the game. You just being inside Drew Estate's booth, everybody knowing the way Drew Estate does business, legitimized us and put us ahead of the game 10 years easily. So, and that's a fact. Without that very first PCA show, IPCPR trade show, we would not be the highly legit company we are now. So I can't give Drew Estate and Jonathan Drew and Marvin Samuel enough praise for what they've done for us. Steve Saka, Mike Salucci, Glenn, all these guys have really stepped up for us. Even to this day, Jonathan, even though he sold his company, he's still the president of the company. He's still 110% behind us. The Barn Smokers were created as an educational / fundraiser for CFW. And without the Barn Smokers, we would not be able to afford every year to send the packages. We'd always be short of money every year if it hadn't been for the Barn Smokers. Asylum Cigars, Tom Mazuka has always been really good to us. We had a company called CZ Cigars at the beginning. They're good to us. Avante have not stopped being good to us. I just got an email yesterday saying they're shipping another 35,000 cigars to us. And if you know what Avante or Toscano cigars are, they're great because you can throw them in your backpack and not worry about humidity. And you imagine when you're deployed, those are great cigars. I mean, I still got stuff in my golf bag that are all Avante. So these companies like that who just really didn't give a shit about the deeming that came out in 2016, we're going to keep donating. And that's what they did. We had Famous Smokes, at the very beginning, jumped on board with us, 7,000 cigars a month. Wow. Every month. That's a retailer. A lot of people don't realize they're a retailer. They basically surpassed everybody every month on donations. Corona Cigars. Jeff has always gone to bat for us, whether it was cigars, money, swag, building events for us. They've been donations to the Center of the Year twice. So Corona is a phenomenal company that has sponsored you guys. I can go on and on. Vaughn Boyd. She was a retail shop that used to own Deadwood Tobacco. Yeah. Sweet Jane. Me and her have a long, long history, and every bit of it is positive. Without her, we wouldn't have been able to afford the $1,200 we had paid for our 501c3 payment. And she asked me one day how much it is. She wrote a check out and mailed it to me without me asking.
Wow.
And she'd always donate Sweet Janes, a lot of Sweet Janes, even though she was limited in those days how many she was getting to sell. So, there's a lot of people stepped up. A lot of, we've had several reps over the years that have been volunteers. Of course, we always had military guys on, whether active duty, reserve, National Guard, or retired. But doesn't mean they have to be on the board or be a volunteer.
Yeah. Well, and
Go ahead.
we know that. I mean, obviously, CFW, Cigars for Warriors. This is, at its core, it's about, having cigars available for, servicemen and women who are deployed, who, need that break. But obviously beyond that, we know that it costs a lot of money to get the cigars. That's step number one. But getting the cigars to these people, in multiple different locations across the planet, on average, I mean, if you even have a number in your head, on average, what does it cost to just for shipping costs every year?
Every year.
Or every week or every month, whatever.
I would say monthly, an average, and I may be off by 1,000 or two, but I would say average around 15,000.
Wow.
A month, and then
monthly. Wow.
Then we have another 5 on just from stipends to nickel and diming stuff on, programs on your website and programs that you work with.
Yeah.
Those stuff. There's all these little things that you never think of. Having storage units that have, temperature control units, having multiple storage units around the United States because, we do trade shows. It was more cost effective to have a storage unit in Vegas than it was to ship pallets every time to Vegas for a trade show. That's just one of the little things that we're talking about. But it gets down to a lot of guys who know what I'm talking about, the nickel and diming you. Sometimes it's a lot worse than the overall major place you're spending your money, like for us shipping. We've had companies that are reaching out to us recently that are shipping companies that are working on their numbers, seeing if they can beat USPS. So far, have not been able to, but we're hoping that comes about. And then I would say the biggest thing that helped CFW over the years, probably at the end of the first year, is that we started an event coordinator program. And this is for men and women who want to volunteer. They didn't want to do, let's say, the 20, 30, 40 hours a week of as a board of director. And they would go get a shop to sign up on as a donation center, and they would be their CFW rep for that shop. Some guys like Peter Taro went nuts, and he has like 18 stores, even this day after so many years, over a decade, that he still was able to service. Now, with that said, he can't be at all their events. So we've been trying to get, individual bodies per store. In a perfect world, we would have 4 event coordinators for every retailer's shop we have. And reality is we have 1 event coordinator for every 100 stores we have. But people like being an event coordinator because it's the funnest position. It's the least amount of work, and not saying negative. It's the least amount of work, but it's also, you get to meet the rep, you get to talk to the manufacturers, you get to help the owner of the store. The shop owners that are very business savvy see CFW event coordinator come in, they see dollar signs, which is what we want. I would say the majority of the companies that come to me and say they want to support us in whatever way, they say they want to do it either, they feel like they need to. It's, I couldn't serve. I want to, serve in a different way. And my answer has always been, but don't not make money off of us if you can. Do it the right way. And we want you to make money. We want a company, if possible, there's some companies that it will never be possible, but we want your company to come out ahead a little bit more than we do. It's not an altruistic statement of that. It's because if it happens, you're going to be more excited. You're going to stay on board, and every year your gratitude and your excitement grows, and then our donations grow naturally. Companies like Drew Estate will never be able to give them enough support to pay for what they've done for us. Avante, the same thing. Harriman Solomon was the first company that had the, I'm not sure if I can say it on air, the balls enough to step with the Synergy program. And the Synergy program was just insane because it was just a way to come up with an idea to start a negotiation at the trade show. And so the idea was, I just told them, okay, here's one of our programs, and we want you to make us one of your top end cigars. You give us 8 or 9 samples. We'll choose that one we like. Our marketing guys and your marketing guys build the program, the designs of the box, designs of the labels. You only can sell these limited edition cigars through CFW donation centers. So it helps us with leverage with our stores. And it's also a way to give back to our shops. And then lastly, we want you to give me all your profits. Not thinking anybody in their right mind would say yes. I mean, think about it. You're going to do all this work, and you're going to give us all the money you're supposed to be making out of it. And when Harriman Solomon stepped up on it, they weren't a massive company. They were probably the smaller tier, growing very fast. But Eddie and George, now Eddie and his wife, have started their whole line of Harriman Solomon cigars for charity reasons. He's a Freemason, and a lot of the money he makes goes back to Freemason charities like Shriners Hospital is a big one. Yeah. So for us, it was a non-thinker in his mind. In a beautiful box he made for us. The first one's called Live to Serve. And that's always been our hashtag, because Live to Serve kind of encompasses everything. Mm-hmm. We're talking about a volunteer. We're talking about guys at a podcast that are supporting us. We're talking about manufacturers supporting us. We're talking about retailers supporting us. And we're talking about the military itself. It's all in service of. So you're living to serve, and it's all a different way. Guys were talking about how you weren't able to serve. My argument is there's many ways to serve, and you're already doing it. Every time I see you guys, you're always pushing CFW. So That's another way to serve. And I guarantee you, nobody in the military looks down on anybody who didn't have the opportunity to serve. There's so many reasons not to serve. It's only 1% of the United States these days that does serve. 80% of them come out of Texas, so I am kind of proud to say that.
That's good. That's good. Well, I want everybody to know on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble that I put the link for donations in the comments. So you go to that link, and you got a lot of different options for donating. You can start at $10 and go up from there. Every penny helps to get these cigars to the people who can enjoy them and take a minute away from their the craziness that they're in the middle of. So every penny helps. We encourage, and we really encourage everybody to give what you can, because we're sending a bunch of cigars, but they need the money to get these cigars to the people who need them. So please help if you're able to. We really appreciate it.
And it's not only cigars, guys. I mean, we're talking about magazines, gift cards, a lot of other stuff that people send in mass that we can ship to them. Now, one of the things that Matt says, Storm, I'm going to donate a $200 DuPont lighter to. My first question to Matt is going to be, do you want that to go to the troops or to the charity and use any way we can?
Yeah.
And it says go to troops. That's where that lighter goes. We don't select somebody. It's just random. If he says, for the charity, the biggest bang for the buck, typically I'm going to take that lighter and raffle it off because, good portion of our proceeds come from raffles. When we do festivals, we do events, we do raffles. And I want you to see, when people see a raffle going on, please realize that is one of our biggest source, if not the biggest source of monetary gain we have, are those raffles. And raffles tickets are great because you could get a ticket from either buying them with cash or donating cigars. And a lot of events we do is you bring in your cigars from home and an event, and you'll get 1 for 1. If you turn around and donate event cigars, you get 2 for 1. So not only does it, again, it's a good business model for shops, the reps, and CFW, because the guys are bringing in cigars, they're emptying out the humidors, which you guys probably can attest. None of us can leave those humidors empty. We're going to have to fill it up with something. So we're going to turn around and buy a bunch more cigars. And as they're heading out the door, we're going to try to get as many of those cigars from them. So, it's good business when retailers are behind us. The more they go behind us, the better they do, better charity does. It's a win-win-win, like we like to say. I don't know about you guys. Putting my hand out is not something I like or ever want to do. So the way I built the charity has been about we do, here's the information, here's what we do, you choose. And, last thing I want to see is Matt seeing me, and he sees me and he turns around and runs away. Because I'm asking for something. Raul looks at me, he's like, oh shit, he's thinking about asking me for something. And he had, so it's a very slow model.
Yeah.
But, my dad used to tell me, you can shear a sheep every year, but you can skin
them
once.
only once. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, maybe it's too much ego or pride. I just don't like putting my hand out. But it has worked for us. Again, it's slow, very slow method. We're very proud of a lot of things we've done, like being that platinum guide star at Canada.org and the greatpockets.com. Not only, because we've never had a grant that's been approved. And knowing I've written half the grants that were very well done, there's still a lot of people look at it as tobacco being sent to the troops. But on the whole, most people want to take care of the troops. And I like one little story. I don't tell it very often, but this kind of give your audience kind of a gist of what I'm talking about. I had a mom sent me a letter. Started out rough. I hate all things tobacco. I hate tobacco companies. I think tobacco is part of the devil. I mean, just on and on. But in the next paragraph, my son calls me. The last 4 times he's called me from Iraq. He has talked about these cigars that CFW sent to them, how his men were laid down, how we were constantly going to Syria, and there was no getting that high stress off of them. But the cigars was a huge help. So because I love my son more than I hate my position, here's a check for $2,000. Keep doing good deeds. So that's the kind of stuff that gets me off. That's the kind of stuff that really moves me when I see something that much, knowing that a recipient it reacted so well.
Yeah.
And it changed somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's like heart-changing stuff because one of our missions kind of part of our mission here at How About That Cigar from the very beginning is because it's like, it's a cigar podcast. It's, we want to talk to cigar consumers. Well, yeah, but no, because we also want to change hearts and minds of people who don't use any tobacco products to get them on board and give them a clear understanding of the fact that premium hand-rolled cigars are different than any other tobacco product. Yep. They're different than cigarettes and vape and all that other nonsense, and they should be treated as such and not vilified like everything else with the word tobacco attached to it. And you with your organization was able to, through her son's experiences, that was able to at least get her to the point where she said, you know what, him having a cigar once a day or once a week for 60 minutes is more important than my, the position that I've been conditioned to for all my life about anything with the word tobacco attached to it. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. And it's, I will also you asked me earlier about companies. We've been blessed, as you can imagine, we get a lot of companies that say they're going to do this and do that and do this, promise the world and then not come through with any of it. I'm a pessimist by nature, so I always expect the worst and happily gladden when something actually goes through and works right. So when you have this happen, it's mind blowing that you get companies and people that change their whole viewpoint. And with that, we had a company, it's called Connector. It's a lobbyist company. And this will be our third lobbyist company that came to us and wanted to do pro bono work for us. I'll be very blunt. The first two didn't do jack shit at all.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, 2016, when the folks that don't know, there was a deeming put out that basically took vape and cigars and put them under the 2009 Child Protection Act, or in slang terms, Obama's tobacco policy to protect children. And then the big tobacco, when vaping came out, were very distraught, as you can imagine, being an overnight billion-dollar industry. They pushed and had their lobbyists have vaping put underneath the same regulations. Well, FDA decided last minute to throw in cigars into the bunch. Yeah. And you already said there's no chemicals. Your infused cigars is typically sweetness and other things, but not chemicals. So it was a pretty big deal when we got hammered in 2016. There was one line on this massive policy that said manufactured tobacco cannot donate to charities, cannot donate products to charities. Well, we went from having 95% of the industry on board with us, where that meant 100 cigars a month shipped to us, or $10,000 cigars a month shipped to us. Overnight, we went down to 3, like not 3%, but three companies.
Wow.
Our first year, we did 860 cigars, and it was, I've said in other podcasts, other interviews, our first board of directors meeting, we had no idea what a first year goal would be. And my, way I do things is I always want that slightly impossible goal, so you're constantly reaching. And I said 800 cigars, and I get cussed out at. We're in a meeting just like this right now, and where the hell are we going to get 800 cigars? Where are we going to get the money to ship it? Who are we going to ship it to? I don't know. That's why it's called an impossible goal. The first month we sent 860, and the first year we sent 92,300 cigars. And I say those numbers because at the end of the deeming of 2017 January was our worst month ever, and we only sent out 680 cigars. So the first month where we literally had no clue what the hell we're doing, 5 years later, where we know what we're doing, we shipped out less cigars that 1 month.
Yeah.
And we just put a lot more focus on the retailers and volunteers, etc. So with this connected company, one of the things I've yelled at, and I'll probably get a few text messages when we get off the podcast. I've gone to every lobbyist in the cigar world and told them, you need to use CFW. The reality is there's not enough money that we're ever going to change anything in DC.
Yeah.
There's not enough people. There's only 3.5 million on average to smoke a cigar. And that's whether it's one a year or one a day. So that's not enough people to change these people's minds.
Yeah.
Use us. Well, basically the answer was to me and my senior vice chair was, you don't know what you're talking about. My senior vice chair is Trey Boring, and he's spent half his life, he runs a big trade charity, and he spent half his life doing lobbying work. So the fact of telling him we don't know what we're talking about was hilarious. So this new company called Connectors already stepped up the Cigar Caucus, which I don't know if people know, we have an actual Cigar Caucus within Congress.
Yeah.
They've been very excited working with us. They're using us as the heartstring, which is what we've always said, use us. They're changing people's minds. We've got veterans or caucus that are slowly adding a second caucus to their list. And it's one of the things I'm working on is trying to get the veteran caucus, whether these guys smoke cigars or not, to look at what we do for the troops and get behind it. And just like that lady, she hates tobacco, she hates cigars, but she loves her son more. She loves the benefits to her son more. So that's one of the things that this company's been really good at. And I only bring it up just to give them a little bit of love, because the money that the pro bono value of what they're doing is, I've seen what they charge other companies, and it's crazy. And for less what they're doing for us. So we're very blessed in that. Again, it's just another one of those companies that way outside the industry that jumped on board with us to help us out. And it's one of the things we're trying to do. Just like y'all said earlier, we want people outside the cigar world to look at us and want to support us. Because we have more ideas than just one. We have a second charity we're building called basically Coffee for Warriors. Because the top 3 items, we did a 3-year survey. Now there is some bias in that survey because we sent to the survey to a lot of cigar groups, but it was to a lot of military groups or recipients, etc. What are your top 3 desires when you're deployed? But our cigars are number 1, but number 2 and number 3 was video games and coffee, and depending on what year it was and where they were located, is video games and coffee. I don't drink coffee, never did drink coffee. So I was, but I understood most people in the military do. So that makes sense. Video games didn't make sense because I didn't have any video games, any of my deployments. But technology's changed. I get weird text messages. Hey, this is me. I'm in Syria right now. Could you get us some cigars? We didn't have text messages in those days. We had giant, satellite and iridium phones that you can maybe get minutes a month to call your wife or whatever. So, I bring a lot of this out. Just there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of things we're doing for the troops that we want to continue doing. We want to expand it. Everything we do is to support our military. It's how I vote. You can vote on multiple topics, policies, but for me, it's just easier to vote one way. I'd vote who's going to take care of the military.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to do that. And I didn't mean to bring up politics. I know that's a big no-no, but that's how we think about it. Anyway, so what else you got for me? Hit me some hard questions.
I wanna ask you about a friend of ours. who actually the first time I went to his boil is where I found out about you guys. Small guy out of Virginia.
Small guy.
Just a little guy. Brett J.
Tobaccology.
How does his boil help you out, and what kind of numbers do you get from him if you don't mind me asking? I know he's vet, so I know he supported you from day one, at least when he got into business.
I would have to get back to you with the answer is anything definitive.
Mm-hmm.
I do know it's significant compared to most any other event we have yearly. I guess the easiest way of putting it, it's somewhere between a normal large event and a barn smoker.
Wow.
Nice.
So, I mean, and I always say, if Matt and Raul want to do an event and at the end of the event, they bring us $10 and 10 cigars, you're successful. But next year, I want you to bring me 15 cigars and $15. Grow it. Make it nice. Grow it. And it's easy to do it that way. But if I tell you guys, I need 10 grand from you. First year Storm, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't care, guys. You got to make 10 grand for us. You're going to be shitting me. You're going to be demotivated. It's not going to, in reality, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, too much pressure.
In any event, anything new, any festivals, I've done Cats Fest 7 years, and I tell people I get a lot of calls, and one of them is always, how do I build a festival? Another one might be, how do I have my own cigar shop? Or how to become a cigar rep? My answer to all three of us is don't. Just don't do it. You like money, don't do it. People, they had this romanticized ideas of what these three things are about. It's a lot of work. It's not a lot of appreciation for it. And it's always going to cost you money in the end. But for me, while it cost me money to do the festival, the charity came way, way ahead. For me, that was good enough. For other people whose spouses may not support that, I don't blame them at all. It's a lot to ask for one person in a family to say, hey, we're going to spend our own money to make money for a charity. It's easy to say, I'm not going to spend any money, but we're going to, sweat equity, we're going to make money for a charity. That's easier. Mm-hmm. And if people say that stuff to me, and it does, people say that to me a lot. There's zero judgment. In fact, I would tell you first thing, don't do it. There's no man or woman that's deployed that would want anybody's company or family to hurt financially because they're supporting our charity. Period. Right. Doesn't matter what charity it is. Whether we're talking about Tunnels with Towers or CFW or 22 Kills, they don't want that. We're there as a service. We chose to serve the country. We chose to put our lives ahead of the game. Why would we choose to put our life ahead of the game where someone's going to be hurting for supporting us? That's not why people do it. And I just hope everybody understands that is don't ever put yourself in jeopardy, your family in jeopardy, your finances in jeopardy. But if those three things are covered, we want you. We want as much help as we can get from you. If you want to be a volunteer and you're shy, you don't like talking on the phone, I got a place for you. If you are really good at graphics, got a place for you. If you're really good on social media, because you ask anybody this day, everybody has on a resume, they're social media experts. I'll happily take you. We love having anybody on board who their goal is just support the charity, and I don't care about a secondary goal of being, they could use on a resume being part of a national military charity. I have zero problem with that. I've had board members in the past tell me that's a bad idea to let, people shouldn't have that motivation. I totally disagree with that. We are Americans. Capitalism is number one. And I want everybody, if our volunteers, to come out ahead. And if by helping us, putting a lot of personal hours, personal monies, can help them get ahead in life, I'm 100% for it. And there's not a man or woman in the service that would not be 100% for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got a question for Raul.
Is it?
Do you think it's time?
I think it's time.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Are you absolutely sure?
I'm sure.
All right, guys. It is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. And as always, Numero de los Muertos, sponsored by our friends at Smoke Inn. All right. Numero de los Muertos, episode 262. The number this week, I got to pull this up on my phone.
This is how this is played. He comes up with a goofy.
It's weird. It's just weird.
A goofy way that somebody passed away, and we have to pick out the number. Actually, he gives us the number, and we have to figure out how that person expired.
Yeah.
It's a little bit morbid, but it is one of our viewers' favorite not episode
favorite segments.
That sounds like something the Army would do.
Yeah. So it's dark humor, basically. Yeah. All right. So the number
what that is.
The number this week, is 16. I'm gonna say the duration. This is 16 deaths by this cause in the last 25 years.
Ooh, that's a toughie. So now, any guess you have, we usually say, like, is it land or sea?
Yeah, and if we got anybody in the, any viewers right now, it's just 20 questions. Break it down.
Does it involve eating?
No.
Does it involve our troops?
No. Not directly, I don't think. I mean, it's possible that someone was a service person, but no.
Does it involve drugs?
No.
A firearm's involved?
No weapons are involved.
Does it involve vehicle?
Very good question. Vehicles are not involved.
Is it land or sea or air?
Land.
Land. Was this on the United States or this is worldwide?
It doesn't specify United States, so I'm going to go with, although, wait, these stats are coming from, I'll say U.S.
Does it involve a mountain or a cliff?
No, mountains are not involved.
Does it involve animals?
Animals are not involved. Kelly, it is not people who died being struck by a donkey. No.
Or donkey show.
Donkey. Ooh.
That would be about 16.
It's a different podcast altogether.
Is it?
What?
Is it police or fire?
Nope.
All right.
Does it involve wives?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It doesn't, but shit, that's a really good question. No, spouses, no, not involved.
What about kids?
Very, very few kids.
It's not a donkey punch. It's not vegetables involved.
The vast, no, not donkey punch. No vegetables.
Corn is not involved, right?
No. Corn. C-O-R-N. Corn.
No, I was saying peen. P-O-R-N.
Oh,
porn.
No.
So I was thinking donkey punch.
Electrical? Randy wants to know.
No, Randy, sorry, no, not electrical.
And that's the same Randy that donated at least 40 to 50 cigars. Thank you, Randy. We appreciate you.
Randy is among those donators. So
thank you, Randy.
God bless you, brother.
Does it involve elderly?
No. I mean,
is it from children to elderly? The whole gamut?
Age range to 70. But the age range is 4 to 70.
It didn't involve the president. It was
the president's none of the presidents, I'd say, in the last 30 years.
Is it a peanut allergy?
Nope, it's not food related.
Is it an object hitting a person?
It potentially that could be part of it, but it's more specific than I'll say. The vast majority of these were males. Surprise, surprise. You know,
and alcohol was not involved.
No, alcohol is not involved.
Alcohol,
not choked on.
No porn.
It was not heights. It was not bicycles. It was not choked on food. Food's not involved. Vehicles not involved.
But was there choking involved?
No, choking not involved.
Okay.
What do they call that thing when asphyxiatus, whatever the hell it is?
I have no
Where
idea.
they're jerking off and they're hanging themselves at the same time.
No, that's always Skip Martin's answer. That's always autoerotic asphyxiation, and we actually did that once on the show. And sorry, we didn't do that on the show. That was the answer on the show.
I don't judge, man.
That was before I came on the show.
What
everybody,
what y'all do when the lights are off?
I'll say this could be classified as a recreational activity. Very few people do this for income.
Ride ATVs?
No vehicles.
No vehicles.
It's an indoor recreational activity. Mostly
Sports?
men.
Does it involve sports?
In a way, yes.
Basketball?
No, not a team sport.
Skeet shooting?
No wrestlers?
Does it involve skeet shooting?
No weapons.
No weapons.
No weapons.
Is it like wrestling?
No.
So no wrestling, martial arts, skeet, no weapons, no vehicles.
No
porn.
water.
Indoors.
No.
Is it
Water.
gymnasium?
Gymnasium? Well,
does it involve a rope?
Nah, probably not.
Is it
bobbing for apples in a toilet? No, Kelly, it's not bobbing for apples in a toilet.
Does it involve a fair?
No.
Carnival?
Sports, gym.
You got basketball. You got indoor hockey. You have indoor soccer.
Don't think gymnasium. Think the gym.
Bowling.
Oh, somebody lifting and they get their necks broken by lifting or something, having a heart attack, or is the actual weight falling on them?
So this is a death caused by weight training or resistance equipment.
That little 4-year-old was on the juice or what?
Yeah, one of the age range was from age 4 to age 70. So since January 1999, there have been 16 deaths associated with resistance equipment or weight training.
How does a 4-year-old die from?
My guess is they were unsupervised at a gym somewhere. Yeah. You know, somebody went to work out and wasn't paying attention to their kid, and the kid picked up a weight and dropped it on their head or something. I don't know.
Now, I know friends that would do that, but
yeah,
kids.
Oh, Thomas Darling was in there with weightlifting.
Oh,
Randy dancing? No.
Well,
Kelly Conway, that could happen in a bedroom. I mean, resistance training and resistance equipment in a bed. Hey, you do you, bro.
What I wonder how many of those were actually heart attacks.
Let me see here.
If there's any
all right, so at least 75% of the deaths were associated with free weights, and at least 50% with bench press. And it doesn't say specifically about which.
I can see a bench press, someone not being able to push it up, crushing their throat.
Yeah. If they don't have a spotter,
or their chest,
if they're by themselves, or crush their chest or roll back and choke them or something like that. So, yeah. Age of the victims, all 78% of the deaths were men.
So was that a quick answer, or was that?
I'd say it's maybe a little bit longer than average, but it was pretty close to average for the show. Yeah, it's pretty close.
You could have lied to us. You know that, right?
Oh, I always do. Basically, it's actually I just made that all up. No, I didn't make it up.
Thanks, Randy. Take it easy, bud.
All right, so it is time.
This week's.
Oh yeah, thank you. That was this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right. It's time to reveal this week's Spirit of Mystery, brought to you by Postani Cigars. So I enjoy this whiskey. It's a little funky, but the funkiness is going away the more I drink it. It does still have that. Somebody put it in the comments early when I was talking about that kind of cinnamon. It was Dax. That wood. There's that wood Amberana. That sometimes if whiskeys are aged in barrels made of that wood, it gives that sort of cinnamon. That would have been like Penelope Rio started it when they started aging their bourbon in that wood. Yeah, but a lot of companies came out with that. There's a few companies that have kind of gotten on that wagon train with that Amberana wood, and it really does give a nice kind of flavor to whiskey. So this one I like. I think it's a good whiskey. It's not too high proof. It's not too spicy. Even with the 106, was it 106? 106. Yeah, it's still smooth. So I call this a highly drinkable whiskey, and I enjoyed it very much. I mean, I would say Penelope, but that's kind of too easy because Penelope, because I just said it, sort of well, and because they really pioneered that that Amberana wood aging. So just because that's the only one that comes to mind right now that uses that, I'm just gonna say Penelope. It's not okay. And it's not using Amberana wood. Really, it is barrel. Oh, it's barrel cask strength, barrel number N103, single barrel. 14-year age, 108.64 proof, cask strength. Interesting. Okay. And the other one, it's really got that Amberana wood kind of characteristic. They do make one with Amberana wood, but that was not it. I dig it though. That's a good and Barrel and Stellum and those guys, they do a good job. So I think it's a really good pour, brother. So thank you for this. It's a good Spirit of Mystery this week. All right. It is now time for the lightning round, brought to us by our friends at J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and The American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 113-year-old El Reloj Cigar Factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com. All right. So, Storm, we got some non-cigar related questions for you. Start out with, if you were about to get into a fight, a old-fashioned fisticuff, what would your soundtrack music be?
That's easy. It's Rocky.
Oh, classic. That is one of the most popular answers on the show, and it's popular for a reason. It's a classic. It just works. It absolutely.
There's nothing better.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the good ones.
All right, Storm. What is the most overrated and underrated fast food out there?
Overrated? I would say Wendy's.
Wendy's overrated. I can see that.
Underrated? I would say McDonald's. I eat too much of it as it is.
Yeah. There's something about McDonald's. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's
their fries. The fries are phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know when the fries are like legit right out of the fryer. I don't know what it is about them. I'm sure there's some chemical in that they're trying to, get us on the hook, get us addicted. But I really don't care.
Me neither.
Just good.
I mean, I'm sure JFK's right, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. I had Freddy's today. Do you have Freddy's out in Texas?
We do. We just got one in my hometown here in Lubbock.
I feel really bad saying this. What is Freddy's?
Freddy's is kind of like they do the ice cream stuff.
It's a lot like 3 Guys.
5 Guys.
Five Guys.
Five Guys.
So it's like a burger,
Smash burger.
burgers and
Burgers and
milkshakes
fries,
and
yep,
stuff like that.
yep.
I've
Brahms. You've eaten at Brahm?
before. What's that place called?
Freddy's like a lot better than Brahms.
I've never had that before.
What's the other place that's from Wisconsin?
Culver's.
It's like Culver's.
Culver's is good. If you're in the Midwest, Culver's is good.
It's like that, but better, I think.
Really?
I think so.
I got to give that a try.
Yep.
I would agree.
All right, so Storm, this is a big one. So the zombies are coming. You get to choose 3 people from the cigar industry to be on your zombie apocalypse survival squad. Who do you choose and why?
Well, John and Scott from Warfighters.
Yeah, excellent choice. Absolutely.
I know what they can do. We were in the same battle space and the same battle time. And I would say Matt Booth.
Yeah.
Former Marine, but he's nuttier than I am. And when you're dealing with zombies, you need someone who's just throwed off nuts. And Matt covers that.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's do
and it's something I would tell him too, so it's not like I can tell him something I wouldn't tell him.
So, Storm, if you could sit down, you have your own TV show, you have your own late night show.
Oh yeah.
And you're the anchor. Who's your first guest and why?
Man, that's a hard one. Probably Morgan Freeman. Or
that's a great answer.
Just to listen to him.
And why?
Just to hear his voice.
As Ryan Reynolds says, his voice is sexy as hell.
Absolutely. I'd listen to him read the phone book.
Oh, yeah. I would too. It's just mesmerizing. I mean, the only other two would be tied would be Ryan Reynolds or Denzel Washington. Both of them have such a fascinating. It's rare when you get to see them on an interview, but when you do, all 3 of those guys' interviews are phenomenal. And I hate them all actors, but it's reality things.
All right, so let's jump into this week's notable smokables, brought to us by Don Doroteo Cigars. Don Doroteo is a brand with both purpose and passion, dedicated to creating change from within. By developing their own land, they're able to own the entire process throughout the life cycle of the plant. And they methodically carry out each step, ensuring that the final product is of the finest quality. The new Salt of the Earth lines, Piedra Viva and Piedra Angular, are available now at Don Doroteo retail partners. Visit dondoroteo.com to learn more. All right, so notable smokables. Each week, we all name a cigar that we smoked recently that was notable to us. Now, this could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades, but we tried it again for the first time in a long time. Or it could be a cigar that's brand new to the market that we tried for the first time ever. So, Storm, what's something you smoked recently that really stood out to you?
I don't know what year it came out. I'm sure you can find it. It's the original Tatuaje Frankenstein.
Oh,
and I found it. Couldn't believe
you
I found
smoked an OG Frank recently?
Yeah, and it was, even with all these years of it sit there, it still had some. It was still ass whipping. It still was very flavorful. And taken from a guy who couldn't taste a piece of leather, it was like on it. It was a great cigar. I mean, I never got to smoke any when they first originally came out. I was blessed to finding them, a year, 2, 3, 4 years later. But
yeah,
this one's probably been in my humidor for, at least 6 years.
I mean, those came out
14
or 13.
Yeah.
And then that was the first ever monster. And yeah, I mean, kudos to you for actually smoking and enjoying that cigar, because I know guys on Facebook that would pay $500 for that one cigar.
Now, don't get me wrong. I have a second one that I'm not going to smoke anytime soon.
There you go. I like it. Raleigh, what was your notable this week?
Well, I got a little shipment from Cigar Hustlers.
Yeah, thank you, Mike and Mike. Appreciate you guys.
And mine was Ezekiel, the Shepherd.
Yeah. I just
This is a phenomenal cigar.
Yeah.
And I don't know many places that still have them, but Cigar Hustler does.
Yeah.
If you haven't had one, go out yourself and get a 5-pack.
Yeah.
That's a great store. They've been with us since 2012.
Yeah.
Mike is just one of those rare,
Good
nice people.
Yeah.
Good people. Absolutely. My notable this week was a little bit older. I mean, the blend came out a few years ago, and the one I smoked, I know, was from like the original box that I bought back when it came out, the Crown Heads La Carême, that sort of Churchill, like 6.5 by 48 Hermoso #1 size. And that, I mean, the broadleaf on that cigar is just, I know it's broadleaf's in short supply right now, but that cigar, I want to say it came out in 2018.
1918. Yeah.
And it's still, after this many years in the humidor, it stood up like gangbusters. Tons of flavor,
Solid cigar.
Still had that broadleaf sweetness with a little bit of spice on the back end. Really nice, solid cigar. So yeah, it was nice and fun to revisit that one. I haven't smoked one of those in quite a while. All right, let's jump into coming attractions, and those are brought to us by Hoagland Insurance. At Hoagland Insurance, they are excited to serve and educate any new customers and give existing customers a refresher. Whether it's a business policy, auto insurance, home policy, or life insurance, if you are currently insured or just looking for a quote, Tony Hoagland and his team would love to create a personal price plan just for you. Mention How About That Cigar when you make your first appointment, and Tony will have a free cigar just for you. For more information, please call 763-421-4900 or visit champlaininsurance.com. All right, so next week, we just mentioned him a moment ago. Next week, October 7th, none other than Pete Johnson from Tatuaje Cigars, back on the show again. I think it's possible that Pete Johnson is the most returning. This will be like his 7th appearance on How About That Cigar Live. So always a great pleasure to talk to him. Of course, October is the month of monsters.
Yeah.
So excited to hear about everything they've got going on.
Sent out the new Monster Mash.
Yeah, the Monster Mash and the Wolf Redux.
The Wolf Redux is getting started.
So we'll be excited to hear about that and all the other stuff they have going on. And then on October 14th, first-time guest on the show, Gerald Tritt from Freud Cigars, first-time guest on the show. Excited to hear about their full story on How About That Cigar Live. So Storm, first of all, thank you, brother, so much for being on the show. We're blessed to have you on and appreciate it so much, brother.
No, thank you guys for having us. It's greatly appreciated, and thank you for y'all's years of support. It's always a pleasure when I get to see you guys. Hope we do it soon again.
Absolutely. And if you would give our viewers and listeners an idea, where's the best place for them to keep up with everything going on with Cigars for Warriors?
I would say probably the page, Facebook page. Hopefully the new website comes out, knock on wood. And of course, Facebook group, if you really want to see the pictures of the troops. We have tens of thousands of photos and statements from the troops, which is really highly motivating for me. Even when I start losing that edge, I'll go back and reread some of the older posts. And of course, we're on Instagram and I think TikTok, which I'm not on, but I understand we're on it pretty good, Twitter, etc.
Nice. Well, we appreciate it again, brother. And we encourage all our viewers and listeners to learn all they can about Cigars for Warriors and give all that they're able to.
Yeah, like I said, I always recommend doing your due diligence and going to guidestar.org. And that's, make your mind up whether you want to donate or not. Don't let someone else tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell him.
Yeah, we'll tell him. It's okay. We don't mind.
Well, I appreciate y'all guys a lot.
Thanks a lot, brother. Thanks for being with us.
All right, viewers and listeners, guys, thank you so much for being the best part of How About That Cigar Live. We are so grateful for you being with us here on Facebook, YouTube, and
Rumble.
And of course, for our audio podcast listeners, thank you guys so much for being on How About That Cigar Live and listening on your favorite audio podcast platform. regardless of where you're watching or listening, make sure you take a minute to click on all those big, beautiful buttons. The like button.
Yes.
The follow button.
Yes.
The subscribe button.
Hell yes.
The bell so you don't miss anything we have going on.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
And if you have questions for any of us, you can email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Be sure to follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You'll find us at HBT Cigar. And of course, as always, guys, until you see us next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys. Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.